Hello everyone, this is Betsy from ideastimestwo. Welcome to our channel. Today I have a tutorial for you. It's kind of an add-on video. The last video I was showing you how to make this jelly print, and we made this one together and this one. But I did mention in that video that you could make jelly prints without the jelly plate, which not everyone has a jelly plate. I think the large ones run between $25 and $30, and maybe you're not planning on using it a lot and just can't justify the cost, or maybe you just don't have access to one. And so a lot of people have come up with different ideas on how to make a monoprint or a jelly plate print without using a jelly plate. And so I did go on YouTube and I explored a lot of options, and people were making them on glass mats. They were making them on plastic sheets, for example, Ziploc bags or something along that nature. But a lot of people used silicone mats. And so I have a silicone mat here, and we're going to give this a try. So we're going to go through this together and make a print. Two prints is my plan. I have, it's going to be a little different than these. This is sort of a two-step process, but this time we're going to go through, use a few different items and make a couple of prints. So I'm going to test this out and see how this works. All right, so I'd like to use these. Now this is a silk screen. I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but this is a stencil. We're going to try something different. So what I'm going to do first is lay down black. I want to use black and gold for this. So we're going to shoot for that. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay down black and then remove some color, let it dry, and then add some color. So it's a little bit of a process here, but we're going to check out how this silicone mat works for us. So the first thing to do is to put down our black and maybe make it, not solid black, but maybe a little mottled in color. So we're going to try that. Now, if you saw my last video, you saw that my brayer fell apart on me, and it's still in precarious shape. I placed an order, a couple of different orders, and I can't remember if I actually ordered a new brayer or not, or if I was just going to run over to Hobby Lobby and get one. I don't even know. So I'm waiting for the mail to come to see if I got my new brayer. But so if my brayer falls apart, it's going to be a little bit of a disaster, but I'm just going to try to hope for the best. We're going to try to hope for the best. So instead of just solid black, like I said, I'm going to put an off-white with that to hopefully make sort of a lighter, grayish, some grayish sort of tones in it, and I'm going to put some of this shiny gold paint in it. So I'm using acrylic paints just like the other video. And like I said, I have my 8.5 inch by 11 sort of quadrant here that I'm working with. And we're just going to see how this works. See how differently it acts, if it's still possible to make a nice print, which I think it must be, because a lot of people had videos on it. That's maybe too much white, I don't know. And the black, oops, the gold is kind of gloopy, so that's alright, we'll work with it. So here we go. I have to be so gentle with my brayer. That's looking good so far, like that. All right. I'm going to sort of get a general shape here. Just like that. I'm going to very carefully try to clean this off. I might have to go off camera and clean that off, because then we're going to work with a lighter color, so we'll see how that works. All right, then I'm going to lay this down. And what I'm going to do is dab off the hexagon shapes. I'm going to scrub those off, actually. Let's just scrub them off. I'm trying not to touch the edges of my stencil because I don't want a straight line on there. But even if I get one, I'll just smear it with my finger a little bit. And I could have done this in stages more randomly, but we're just kind of experimenting to see how this goes. Okay, there's that. And I didn't get too many hard edges because I didn't, like I said, I was trying to avoid the pressing. Okay, now this will be tricky. I don't know if this is going to work, but because it's a silk screen, it looks like it's doing okay. I could also maybe make this black by doing something at the final step, but we'll just see how this goes. Now I'm going to carefully lift this up. Let me get something that'll help me with that. Yep, I'm not too sure that's actually going to work, so we might wait for the last step to do this. Just because it's silk screen, it's not going to act the same as the stencil. So maybe put the stencil on and grab a few more, or put a few more hexagons on there. So once again, I'm not trying to press onto the sides. All I'm doing is rubbing the black paint away. And then, since this is still wet, this is what I'm just going for. I need to leave an area for my bee, though. And this looks pretty dry, but we'll try a couple more. Try to rub off a couple more here. That's good. Make sure I didn't get any lines. Okay, now the tricky part of this, we're going to let it dry completely. There shouldn't be shiny, and then we'll come in with a different color. And you can dry this with a heat gun or just let it dry naturally. Whatever works for you. And hopefully this silicone mat will work the same as a jelly plate. We'll see. Alright, I did use my heat gun. And even though there's shiny parts, it's still, I know, how can you tell, right? Because of my hands. Still dry, or I mean it feels dry. So now I'm going to go in with my gold and get this whole thing, cover this whole thing. We'll have to come back to the bee at the end because that just didn't work because of the type of, it wasn't a stencil. It's a separate technique for that, I guess. Although I did use a brayer. I have done a brayer with the silk screen, and it does work really well, but there's a matter of the background and all that. Okay. All right. Gold and gold metallic, and then a little bit of white. And I'm going to cover this whole entire thing. All those gaps where we removed the paint should show up now with gold. And if you get this whole thing wet, we're going to be able to pick up the bottom color. It's going to make it wet and renew sort of the paint, so it'll come up. That's the plan. And I think I might add just a tiny bit more paint to this where we have some bleed through there. I don't think it was dry right there. I'm just probably working it a little too hard. So let's pull it up and see. See what we have. Say, my brayers actually stayed together. That's kind of nice. All right, now this is, need to press firmly. And so hopefully I don't get a lot of paint on my fingers. Any more paint. I'm gonna smooth it with this paper towel. The paper towel is just protecting my fingers. It's not like part of the method or anything. All right, give this a nice press. And the nice thing about the silicone mat too is that it gives a little bit, right? So it's helping you actually push and grab that paint. So I'm a messy crafter and it never fails. I do get paint on the back side of my monoprints, but we'll see. We will see. All right. Okay, now's the moment of truth. We're going to find out if this actually worked. I like it. I like that a lot. There were obviously some places I think maybe it wasn't dry enough, but I think it's a cool print. And I was thinking about putting the bee back on, and I am not sure it's going to work though. I think it's a little bit too black. There's too much black on here for me to do that. If I make this bee, I don't think there's any place on here I could actually make the bee work out. Maybe if I did it in white. Let's try that. We'll just do it in white. So what I'm going to do, this silk screen, like I said, and now I'm going to put a little bit of white on here. And we're going to take the brayer, and I'm trying not to get off of the silk screen fabric. So, but I'm taking my brayer so I can push down really hard on that. And then hopefully when I pull it up, I'll have a bee impression in white. I don't dare use, like, I think it would be too distracting if I tried a different color. So we're just going to try white, see what happens. Using my finger. Let's see how that works. I don't know why I bought this silk screen, but I did. The bee was so cool. All right, let's take this up. I was making sure not to get any paint on those edges because I don't want to... Oh, I kind of wrecked my paper. So my paper's a little bit wet. I should have waited till it was dry. So learning as we go here. But I think I can actually touch this up with some black paint or something like that. Just dab at it with my finger so that it doesn't look quite so stark right there. But overall, I think it's a nice print. I think Jelly Plate would be kind of more accurate and not as grungy looking, but I do like it a lot, just the way it is. And that bee, you can see him a little bit, right? So that's kind of that. That's kind of the idea of the same idea as a Jelly Plate. It is going to be different though, going to be a little bit different. You have to be, I think, a little bit more careful with your layering. If you have simple pieces where it's just, you know, the leaf, the paper, I think that's maybe the way to go. So let's try one of those. All right, I am back real quick. I want to insert myself in the video. So this is the print I just pulled, and then I decided to go back and I realized I probably didn't dry the paper enough before I lifted it off. So I tried it a second time, and then this is the result I got. So the important thing is when you have that second layer, you know, the yellow, and then you're smoothing it down with your hands. Let it dry completely, several minutes. I took a heat gun to it until I was touching it and it wasn't cool anymore. It didn't feel damp or anything. Then I pulled it, and so as you can see, the image is a lot more clear. And then I just laid this on with that silk screen again and went over it with off-white. So for a clearer print, just let it dry a little bit more. And so I just wanted to let you know the results of that. Okay, so now we're going to do just like a 1-layer print and see how that works. I went outside and got some leaves, and they are wet. So what I'm going to do, what you'll need then is an object. So I chose leaves, your paint, and some tape and a piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is put my background down first. So now I have got my green, my red, my aqua leaves. Let me think, is there a different color I want? I think I might try orange and gold and see how that goes, even though I kind of have that color scheme already. So I'm going to lay this color down, working carefully with my broken brayer. One thing I did notice too is you need a little bit more paint. I'm not sure maybe it's the spreadability of it or something like that. I'm not sure, but it does seem like you need more paint with this method. But it's totally doable, especially if you're not going to do it too often. And I think we'll add some white in there as well. Just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to spread. I have to go very gently. Very gently. I do want that white to mix in a little bit, just to make light spots. And I'm trying to get as much of my 8.5 by 11 covered as possible. What's fun is you could ombre this, you know, light to dark, which would be super cool. So this is exactly a 1-layer, super easy way to do this. Okay, so now we have our background. We're going to lay our leaves down. And I'm going to go like this. Try to flatten those down. Okay. And then I'm going to put my paper down. So we're operating while it's wet here. Okay, and then, so I got a little carried away with my paint, which might affect my taping situation. So let me just wipe off this excess paint right here because I need to use tape. Okay. Try to get in the crevices. If you can feel where the leaves are, make sure to get the area surrounding the leaves. And the stems and the little ridges. Okay, before you lift it up, tape it down. Just to give yourself a hinge. Okay, so now it's taped down. I think I'm doing all right for pressing down on all these areas, I think. Okay, then you're going to just hinge your paper up like this. Pull off your leaves and see, look at how you have that nice imprint. I gotta find a place to lay this down so it's a safe place. And now you've got the exact location, so your leaf imprint is going to come back on your paper. If you don't care about a messy back, you can actually brayer this. My brayer's actually fairly dry. Or you can just press it with your fingers. But since I'm working with a silicone mat, I kind of want to press this down as much as I can, so I'm going to take my brayer again. You can see my mat has the texture, hexagon texture, but that texture is underneath, but somehow it's coming through, which I don't mind at all. I mean, that's kind of cool. All right, this should be good. Should be good. I'm working it to death, aren't I? And then there's your print. So that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So that's lots of fun. So this is proof, right? You can do mono printing with a silicone mat. I love the way that turned out. All right, so I grabbed them all here. There was this one layer, kind of a simple one, and then this one where I didn't let it dry long enough. It came out real grungy, and I really like it. I like it the way that is. But if we want a little bit of a clearer print, like this one, then just leave it on the mat face down until it's completely dry, either with a heat gun or air dry, and then pull it up, and you'll get a clearer, much clearer, actually, much clearer print. But super fun. Really enjoyed experimenting with the silicone mat. So you can do it with a number of surfaces and acrylic paint. So there you have it. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it so much. You could spend your time doing just about anything, but I'm glad you're here. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We have a Facebook group. And share your prints with us if you experiment with this. We'd love to see that. We have an Etsy shop as well, so please join us there. Thank you again, and we will catch you in the next video. Goodbye.